Tag to Russell. To my neighbor.
Hi, my name is Marie Augustine Glave, and I am a 5-year resident of Cleveland Heights, New York City native. I want to ask you about vision and planning with engagement. We believe effective organizations, including city government, need clear vision, goals, and plans. So, touching some of this. What are the most pressing issues you feel the city is facing? And what type of goal setting or planning process would you propose?
In terms of the pressing issues as it relates to planning, or as it relates to just overall?
The city.
The city overall.
Well, the foreclosure crisis is certainly big. I think a community like Cleveland Heights should have probably seen that coming. I'll just be honest with you. I think they should have been able to see that coming a little bit. I think we have 1,200 homes in some sort of foreclosure crisis right now, or some process like that, roughly. So I think that's a major issue. Every time one of those homes goes into a delinquency or into that situation, it drives down the values on that street, becomes an eyesore, it becomes blighted. You have all those issues. So that's one issue. Another issue is this perception of the schools and how, in my opinion, the city government doesn't do enough to work with the school system to promote, to market, and to have programs. It's not, I don't need a flyer. A flyer being sent to me in the mail is not going to convince me to send my kids to this school or that school. You have to be competitive. You have to go out to new citizens who have kids. Like me, I'm going to have a kid in a week, and I should be starting to have conversations with the school system over the next 5 years of where I'm going to send my kids and how I'm going to make sure they go through the entire system so that I can get them to the high school, get all the kids, the rich kids, the poor kids, all going to the school system. I think that's a big issue. And then I think also another issue is there's some inefficiencies in the way we spend money in Cleveland Heights. I come from an entirely different area of thought on this. I think you run programs based off performance measures, based off efficiencies. If you can figure out how to save money by partnering with another community on purchasing salt or purchasing asphalt or purchasing marketing or printing or whatever it might be, you take those opportunities, even if it's your bitter rival of a community that you don't usually like to partner with. You have to look at those efficiencies. I've seen a lot of inefficiencies in Cleveland Heights City government, and I have plans, I have goals, I have vision of what I would like to see put in place. For me, the planning process is where you start. That's different than this vision process we did. The vision is one thing, the plan is another. So we want to be grown up and we want to have nice tree-lined streets and commercial corridors. Well, we need to put a plan in place. How's the money going to go there? How are we going to spend our resources? Does the community understand the plan? Are we all buying into the plan? You hire planners. You have group facilitation. You bring everybody in. You do charrettes. You show pictures of what it might look like in 15 years. And you finalize the plan. I've done maybe a half dozen of these plans over the last 10, 15 years. And then you put the plan in place, and it has an implementation plan, it has a resource plan, it has a review system. You come back to it every single city council meeting should be, what are we doing to meet the plan? That's what the council's there to do, is to meet the plan. You're addressing other issues along the way, things that come up. But how are we meeting the plan? And how is the plan addressing those issues that I just brought up? So that's kind of my strategy and how I look at planning and economic development.
Okay. I think you pretty much answered part 2. Well, part 2 was, what would you do to build community support for the vision and plan?
Well, I don't think it would be hard at all. Quite frankly, I think there's probably more of you in this community that are a little frustrated right now. I have not met a single person. I've been campaigning since May. You have to start on these things ridiculously early now, I guess. I've been campaigning since May. I've been quietly campaigning, building relationships in the community, trying to know the issues. I think there will be no backlash against planning in this community. I think everybody would be on board because they drive down the same streets I drive down. They hit the same potholes. They've seen the vacancies. They know what's vacant. It's as frustrating to them as it is to me. And we all pay that property tax bill. We all got our assessments this year. Well, I did at least. And we all had a moment of pause when we sat there and thought, oh my gosh, I just lost X percentage of value in my home. So we're all there. And given the fact that we are in an economic downturn, I just see it as opportunity. It's an opportunity to realign our priorities with what we're capable of doing, to build plans for the future, and to put that plan in place and say we're sticking to the plan. That's how we develop. So that's kind of my take on that.
My name is Louis Paulus. I've lived in Cleveland Heights all my life. I'm entering my senior year at Cleveland Heights High School.
You're going to be able to vote by November?
I won't, unfortunately.
It's okay.
And I'm going to
still
ask
watch.
you some questions about the
Can
school.
you still try to vote?
Maybe if I grow out my mustache a little bit. It's hard to dispute the interdependence of our public schools and city, yet close and supportive relationships are not a given. What is the city government's role relative to the CHUH schools and the Board of Education?
Yeah. I think that's probably one of the biggest questions in the community. I mean, since I've moved here, it's been an issue that's sort of harassed the community. You had the Coventry situation, you had a school levy situation. I think there are two since I moved here that have been on the ballot. So, you'll hear this probably from other candidates throughout this couple days you're doing all this. We really can't impact the funding model right now. I mean, that's a state issue. We got to work with the state, our elected with Barbara Boyd and others, to get that model fixed. I think we've already declared it unconstitutional. It's a ridiculous model based off of property taxes. Everybody agrees with that, but that's a very hard, tenuous process that we're going to have to get over. In the meantime, Cleveland Heights city government has a big role, and it's marketing, and it's education, and it's advocacy. First off, our schools are very good. Roxborough is an excellent school. Coventry was a good school, and now we've got situations where those kids are moved around. Boulevard is a good school. Fairfax is a good school. Is it Canterbury? Mm-hmm. Canterbury, yeah, it is a good school. I mean, I've heard nothing but positive things about our schools. The issue you have is that when people move to this community, or they get kids that become school age, they start to make decisions based off of perceptions, not necessarily off of fact. They're getting 3, 4, 5 brochures, sent to them from private schools all over the east side of Cleveland. And those private schools are pushing. We're working real hard. They're coming to their houses. They're interviewing them. They're having them come out, showing their great facilities and all that stuff. Cleveland Heights, we haven't done that yet. And I know that Lita Gonzalez has produced an excellent program called the PATH program. It basically takes parents through this process, shows them the schools, has them sit in classes, has them go talk to teachers, all the way from K, all the way through to, maybe not K, maybe first grade, all the way through the high school situation. She has some statistics where she's able to retain those students, where she's able to keep those families in Cleveland Heights schools that are very positive. Guess how much money the city's ever given her to run that program? 0. She's asked for money for years for that, never got a single dime from it. If I'm elected, one of my goals, I'll be honest with you can put it on the webinar or on the internet, I will get Lita's program funded. I think it is a great program. I think it's exactly what we should be doing in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Our government can play a role in making sure that the citizens know that we have good schools. Does that mean we don't have problems? No, we have problems. We have lots of problems in our schools, lots of problems in our community. But it starts by educating and advocating. I'd say another issue that's come up with me, and my realtor was not guilty of this, but I know others have, is the realtors, Mm-hmm. They will tell you straight up to your face that don't worry about the schools because you're not going to send your kids to the public schools. I don't accept that, and it's against the law. We need to get our realtors back in. We need to have a cold, hard facts conversation with them, explain to them the rules, and also explain to them that we need their help. They are an ambassador for our community. And if they want to work in our community, if they want to sell homes in our community, they're going to talk the talk, they're going to walk the walk, and they're going to be part of our community. Most of them live here. That's the funny thing is, why would you say that about your own community? Be supportive. So we got to do, and I proposed that. I proposed a realtor education program. I proposed a joint family cities marketing program about addressing those perceptions.
Well, I actually experienced that PATH program. Lita Gonzalez
Did
took me around.
she take you? And you stuck through?
Mm-hmm.
See? I mean, it is a good program.